It was the coldest morning of the year, the kind of frost that bites through thick jackets and numbs your fingers in seconds. I parked my cruiser at the edge of the block and stepped out, boots crunching on frozen snow. There, pressed against an old iron fence, sat a little girl, her small frame trembling. She held a cardboard sign that read, "For sale, not toys, not trinkets." Her father's police dog, the dog everyone feared. The dog no one could tame. Behind the fence, Rex paced like a storm contained within a cage. His amber eyes were sharp, intelligent, and dangerous. Every growl, every low rumble of his chest warned any onlooker this dog was not to be approached. Yet something lingered beneath the aggression. A flicker of confusion, fear, and curiosity. I crouched a few feet away, careful not to spook him. "Hey there. Are you okay?" I asked, voice calm and even. The little girl's eyes widened and Rex's growl deepened, but I didn't flinch. I knew instinctively that the key wasn't force. It was patience. The first step in reaching a dog like Rex was showing that I could be trusted. Rex wasn't always this way. He had been trained to protect, to serve, and to obey. But one incident had changed everything. A loud explosion during training, a harsh command from a frustrated handler, a failed routine that had gone wrong in seconds. That moment broke something inside him. He had been aggressive ever since, a puzzle no one could solve. Feared by every officer in the K-9 unit, the little girl reached out, pressing her tiny hands to his cold nose through the chain. Rex growled softly, unsure, tense. She had tried before, but this time I could see a flicker of hope. He wasn't rejecting her. He was measuring her. And in that moment, I realized the truth. He wasn't violent by nature. He was scared. Every growl, every snap was a call for understanding, not domination. I set down a small rope toy near the fence, keeping my hands visible. "It's okay, Rex. I won't hurt you," I whispered. His eyes flickered, muscles tense. Then hesitantly, he nudged the toy with his nose. One cautious push, then another. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. Over the next few days, I returned, every visit a test of patience. I learned his rhythms, how he paced when anxious, how his growl signaled fear rather than threat, the tiny flick of his tail that hinted at trust. I brought treats, blankets, and toys, leaving them within his reach. I spoke softly, moved slowly, and never forced a touch. Gradually, I could inch closer, measure the distance, and watch him decide for himself whether I was a friend or a threat. One day, as snow fell lightly around us, I held the rope toy, letting him tug against me. He lunged and snapped, barely missing my hand. My pulse raced, adrenaline sharp, but I stayed calm. I let him lead, resisting just enough to teach him control. Over and over, until he released with a soft growl, eyes bright, muscles slightly relaxed.
The little girl watched from the fence, her eyes wide with amazement. She had tried and failed, but now she saw it. Patience could reach what fear could not. I spent weeks building trust, each day a fragile negotiation. Every growl and snap was a challenge, but also a conversation. I began to understand him. He wasn't a monster. He was a dog who had been broken by fear, harsh treatment, and misunderstanding. Every bite was a question, "Can I trust you?" And every small moment of calm acceptance answered, "Yes." Then came the call about the warehouse. Reports of suspicious activity near the edge of town. Dangerous, unknown, and possibly criminal. I knew this could be the test of everything we had built. Rex wasn't fully trained. He wasn't fully tamed. But he trusted me enough to try. And I trusted him enough to know he could handle it. The warehouse loomed, dark and silent. I entered first, flashlight in hand. Rex followed closely, muscles coiled, ears twitching, every instinct alert. A clatter, a falling crate, sent him lunging forward. Teeth flashed, growl deep and menacing. I froze, heart pounding. "Rex, it's okay," I whispered. And then something incredible happened. He stopped. Not because of fear, not because of training, because he trusted me. His growl softened into tense breathing, and he turned to let me guide him. Inside, shadows moved. Figures darted between crates. One man crouched with a knife in hand. Rex assessed the situation, muscles ready but controlled. At my command, he advanced, precision in every movement. He pinned the man, teeth flashing just enough to warn, but never strike. I moved in and restrained him. Outside, cold wind hit us. Rex sat beside me, chest heaving, eyes sharp. I knelt, hand on his neck. "You did it, Rex. You saved both of us." The snow fell silently as I walked him back to the block where it had all begun. The little girl ran to him, wrapping her arms around his neck. Rex stayed calm, controlled, and happy. The dog no one could tame had finally found someone who understood him. The warehouse stood like a shadow at the edge of town, its broken windows like dark eyes staring into the night. I parked the cruiser a few hundred feet away, heart hammering with anticipation. Rex stayed beside me, muscles taut, ears pricked. He was alert, but calmer than I'd ever seen him during a high-risk situation. I checked my gear one last time and whispered, "Stay close, Rex." His amber eyes met mine, a silent confirmation that he understood every word. We approached the entrance. The smell hit first, damp wood, rust, and decay mixed with something sharp, metallic. I flicked on my flashlight. Crates towered over us, stacked precariously. Every shadow could conceal a threat. Then came the noise. A sharp metallic clang echoed from the far corner. Rex stiffened, low growl vibrating in his chest. I froze, counting my breaths, listening. The sound repeated, deliberate, nervous. Someone was inside. I stepped forward slowly, flashlight sweeping the dark. A figure darted behind a stack of crates, a knife glinting in the beam. Rex lunged instinctively, teeth flashing. But instead of chaos, he moved with control, circling, herding, warning. Every motion precise, calculated. "Rex, wait, now," I whispered. He obeyed, not blindly, not with rage, but with understanding. He pinned the man to the ground just enough to prevent escape, growls echoing through the empty warehouse. The man froze. Realizing this dog wasn't a mindless aggressor, he was intelligent, tactical, loyal. I moved in, securing the knife and restraining him. Rex stayed alert, watching, calculating. Every muscle ready but restrained. The darkness, the shadows, the unknown threats, none of it shook him. From another corner, movement. Another figure, knife raised, eyes wide with panic. Rex advanced again, growling, warning, controlling. I followed, moving as one with him. The dog no one could tame had become my partner. Every instinct, every reaction guided by trust. The tension was suffocating. Shadows seemed to twist and stretch. Crates loomed like giants, every sound amplified. My pulse raced, but so did Rex's. Yet in this chaos, there was precision, purpose. We moved through the warehouse like a single unit. Every threat neutralized not by brute force alone, but by coordination, understanding, and timing. By the time the last man surrendered, the adrenaline had peaked. My arms ached from restraining the attackers. My heart thumped wildly, and the warehouse seemed to exhale. Rex lowered his stance, chest heaving, eyes scanning for any further danger. Outside, the cold night air hit like a wave. I knelt beside him, hand resting on his neck. "You did it, Rex. You kept us safe." The warehouse incident wasn't just a victory over criminals. It was a victory over fear itself, mine and his. The dog everyone said was untamable had proven otherwise. After that night, Rex and I returned to our routines. But now there was a change. Small victories in training felt monumental. A calm stare, a controlled response, a subtle wag of the tail. These were signs of trust. And with every day, his bond with the little girl grew stronger. We started venturing further. Long walks in the forest, controlled tracking exercises, scent work. Rex thrived in focus, in purpose. His aggression was no longer blind. It was directed, precise. And with guidance, patience, and understanding, the storm inside him had begun to settle. Then came the forest incident, a call about suspicious activity deep within the woods. We entered together, moving silently between the trunks, moonlight filtering through the branches. The forest was alive with sounds, snapping twigs, rustling leaves, and every sense of Rex alert. A figure broke from the shadows, knife in hand, running to escape. Rex bolted, muscles coiled, movements fluid and precise. He intercepted the man, restraining him with skill. Another figure appeared. And once again, Rex responded with calculated control, not mindless aggression. I followed closely, moving as one. By the end of the night, every threat neutralized. Rex sat beside me, chest heaving, eyes alert but calm. For the first time, I understood fully. He wasn't just aggressive. He was a partner, a protector, and a friend. The little girl ran to us, arms wrapped around Rex's neck. He stayed calm, careful, and happy. The dog no one could tame had found trust, friendship, and purpose. The mornings after the forest incident were quieter, almost surreal. Snow blanketed the streets, muffling sound and softening the harsh edges of the city. Rex walked calmly beside me, tail low but relaxed, muscles no longer rigid with tension. The little girl was always nearby, her eyes filled with awe and gratitude, and slowly, I realized how much he had changed, not just in behavior but in spirit. I remembered the first time I had seen him, a storm of teeth and growls, amber eyes sharp with fear and distrust. It was hard to imagine that the same dog now trotted beside me, ears flicking in curiosity, eyes bright with understanding. Each day we trained, played, and walked together, I learned more about him. Not just his aggression, but his intelligence, his loyalty, and the scars of his past. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the distant hills, casting long shadows across the frozen ground, I sat on the curb and watched him. He lay down, resting his massive head on his paws, eyes half closed but alert. I reached out and ran a hand along his back. "You've been through so much, Rex," I whispered. "I know it wasn't easy. I know they hurt you, scared you, but you're more than that. You're brave, smart, and loyal. You've saved lives, and you've taught me what patience really means." He lifted his head and looked at me, amber eyes shining as if he understood every word. There was a trust there, deeper than I had ever known, something that went beyond commands or treats. It was respect, understanding, and a bond forged in fire. Thought back to his early days in the K9 unit, a bright, eager dog with energy that couldn't be contained. The explosion during training, the harsh commands, the frustration of handlers who gave up too quickly. Each event had left a mark, shaping the dog who became feared by all. But it also made him who he was today, intelligent, cautious, and fiercely loyal to those who earned his trust. Our walks continued. Days turned into weeks, and each challenge we faced together strengthened the bond. I taught him new commands, allowed him to choose when to respond, and rewarded understanding rather than obedience. Every small victory became a triumph, not just for him, but for both of us. One afternoon, the little girl approached, eyes wide with excitement. "Rex, look what I made for you!" She held up a handmade collar with a small tag reading, "Guardian." He sniffed it carefully, then allowed her to put it on. The gesture, simple as it was, symbolized trust, love, and recognition of all he had overcome. But our biggest test was still ahead, the forest patrols. After the warehouse incident, we were tasked with tracking suspicious activity deeper in the woods. It was tense, silent work, requiring every ounce of focus from both of us. As we moved through the underbrush, moonlight filtering through the trees, I watched Rex navigate obstacles, assess threats, and act with precision. Suddenly, a shadow moved. A figure darted between the trees, knife glinting. Rex reacted instantly, leaping with controlled precision, intercepting the intruder without unnecessary aggression. Another man appeared, and he acted again, circling, warning, hurting. I followed, knowing he trusted me as much as I trusted him. Together we neutralized the threat. When it was over, we walked back through the snow-laden forest. He trotted beside me, calm, proud, and alert. I knelt and placed a hand on his neck. "You've done it all, Rex. You've been patient, brave, and loyal. You're not just a dog, you're a hero." Back at the block, the little girl ran to him, hugging him tightly. I watched, a smile breaking across my face. The untamable dog had finally found trust, friendship, and love. He wasn't just a K9 unit dog anymore, he was family. The following weeks were quieter but full of small joys. We trained together, explored trails, and even visited the local park where Rex could play safely off-leash under my supervision. His aggressive tendencies had faded, replaced by focus, calmness, and the joy of connection. Sometimes I would sit and watch him with the little girl, both of them laughing and playing, and I couldn't help but marvel at the transformation. The dog that had once terrified everyone now brought smiles, hope, and inspiration. I realized that Rex's journey wasn't just about taming aggression. It was about understanding, patience, empathy, and trust. Every moment of fear had been a lesson, every growl a question, every snap a test. And through it all, we had both learned that bonds formed through respect and care are stronger than fear. On a snowy evening, I stood back as Rex lay between us, chest rising and falling, ears flicking at every sound. The forest, the streets, the warehouse, the trials, all of it was behind us. He had proven beyond any doubt that even the most aggressive, feared dog could find peace, loyalty, and love with the right person by his side. "You're more than a dog, Rex," I whispered, voice soft in the falling snow. "You're a hero, and no one could ever take that away from you." As we walked home together, the little girl on his right, I felt a sense of closure, triumph, and gratitude. This was the bond I had dreamed of, unbreakable, tested and proven in fire and snow. The dog no one could tame had finally found his place in the world. If you felt the journey of Rex and Officer Webb, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to K9 Verse Stories. Every story here celebrates bravery, loyalty, and the unbreakable bond between humans and dogs.